Hello, everyone. Parisa Bania here. Thank you for joining me on the latest session episode of Badass Bytes. I have been so excited to have this conversation with Vlad, and I won't give too much away. I'm going to let himself speak himself into the world. I'm particularly excited to be talking to Vlad today about intuition because I think it is one of the most important traits of the 14 traits I've highlighted that modern badasses have. Before I get too much into that, let me share with everyone a little bit about why I love modern badasses as much as I do. Badasses are leaders who go 80 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. These are change agents. These are pattern interrupters. These are disruptors, not for disruption's sake, not because they're bored, not because they don't have anything better to do. It's because they see some really interesting, magical things on the other side of that movement. They see some really magical things out of that vision that they have so clearly in the mind's eye that they feel called upon and compelled to bring into life. They are fascinating people. They are complex people. They are creative people. Sometimes they may be people who drive you nuts. Vlad is not one of those people, but they may be one of those people who drive you nuts. And yet at the same time, you can't help but be in awe about what they create, what they manifest, and what gets them so excited. So before we go too much more into badassery, Vlad, please speak yourself into the world. Share with us who you are, what you've done until this point, and maybe also give us a hint of how you've used intuition. And don't give it all away, but just give us a little bit of a hint.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on today. Hi, everyone. I'm Vlad Moldavskiy. I'm the head of B2B marketing at Clearcover. It's a insurtech firm based in Chicago, Illinois, focused on auto insurance. So, kind of going back to my story, and I don't, Parisa, feel free to stop me if I get too in the weeds. I have a tendency to do that. But my background is I'm actually Ukrainian, born refugee. I moved actually tomorrow. It's 28 years since my family moved to the U.S. From Kharkov, and I grew up. I spent about a year in Detroit, and then most of my life I spent in Chicagoland, from city to the suburbs. Went to Stevenson High School, and when I was graduating high school, I was actually never the I was not the best child. Let's just say I caused a lot of ruckuses at home, but I come from family that really just was able to like build the American dream, and then really like pretty much gave me anything I wanted. And then 0809 hit, and just different perspectives started to come into my life. And at the time I was deciding where to go to undergrad. And I always kind of had a vision that I would go to like a Big Ten school and, do the fraternity life. But at the time, felt like it was a lot more feasible to go to school in Chicago. So I went to DePaul University. One of the reasons why I chose it was because it was close to home, and also it was in a big metropolitan city. And I love a good ruckus too, Zoe. And I decided to stay kind of closer to home and then be in the city where I could start like networking with people and, doing different things that can kind of like help support myself financially and like put myself through school. And then my last 2 years of undergrad, I was studying finance. I went to go work I spent some time working for Hyatt Hotels Corporation as like a financial analyst. And then I did some interning for a company called Sidley Austin, which is a corporate law firm in accounting. And when I graduated undergrad, I actually was kind of deciding what path to take. And at the time, I had met an individual. Hopefully, he's watching, but if he's not, it's okay. His name's Adam Friedman, and he was starting a digital marketing company. That and I was 22 years old. Like, I heard digital marketing, and then I heard that the office might be in River North, and to me, that was kind of cool. And he was looking for his first like employee and kind of someone to help co-found the business. And when I was 22 and I came out of DePaul University, I decided to like forego like the corporate path and like go down the startup route. Started Mably. It's a full service digital marketing company. And it started as really like a startup for startups, but it evolved into, really like strategy consulting, design, web and software, creative, advertising for a lot of like mid-market enterprises, B2B, some B2C as well. And that was a really fun period in my life because I was like really young, but I was like making a ton of mistakes as the company was growing. And I did that from like 2013 until 2018. Had all sorts of fun. We were twice one of the fastest growing. My partners and we all got, tons of media recognition and, awards and things like that. It was just like a good experience and fun time, and got to work with a lot of different businesses, learn a lot of different business models and how we can kind of solve problems. And then in 2018, I kind of started to like burn out, and I slowly started to like lose like the passion of, like the day-to-day grind of consulting, and felt like, Mably was in a really good place at that time. We had just opened our second office in Kharkov, Ukraine, and we had just gotten a new office in Chicago and some good new leaders for the business. And at that time, one of the things that I felt like I was missing was working for like a larger business, all right, and like really understanding like what happens on the inside of like a large enterprise with multi business units, leaders, audience segments, product lines, services, offerings, whatever you name it. And I put my ego aside. I decided to leave my day-to-day role at Mably as head of digital, to join a company called Morningstar as their director of digital marketing for their investment business, where I was in charge of essentially modernizing their entire marketing approach for their outsourced investment management business that targeted financial advisors.
So let me, just so that people in the audience understand this, you started Mably when you were barely out of college. Just barely.
Actually, I was still in my last class.
Okay. Yeah. Even like, so
I had to stay during the summer.
22. And then you joined Morningstar when? How old were you?
When I was 27.
27. Okay. And the position that you joined Morningstar at was?
So I started. Yep, I joined as I actually was a senior manager for US, and about 6 to 12 months in, I kind of took over the reins there for digital marketing in the US, in the UK, in Australia, India, and South Africa. So, but there was like amazing teams and people.
No, I mean, sure, you work with lots of smart people at Mably and Morningstar. The reason why I'm calling this out, and we'll explore this in a little bit, is you've said a couple of things which are interesting, which I'll asterisk, is I started to sense that, or I realized that I wanted, which is French for intuition. And the reason why I'm calling out your age is this knowing of that you were seeking something or you thought something may be good for you at key moments in your life is a gift. And I think you realize it's a gift, but I want to call it out just the same.
Thank you.
And then, and then after you were at Morningstar for a while, and then this part of where you are now, you were having a conversation with the founder of Clearcover, and then all of a sudden you're here. I mean, that's it. Like felt like magic happened.
Yeah, I think
like what you had to say, and you joined Clearcover.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone at Morningstar is listening, sorry. So once the pandemic started, like I started to do some fractional CMO work, and doing like advisory work for new startups, and then also for like mid-market businesses, working directly for like some CEOs, helping like with underperforming marketing operations, things like that. And then I actually had met Kyle, who was the CEO of Clearcover, during my Mably days. And like right before he even started the business, he came to us. We didn't win the business to launch the brand, but I was like super impressed with him because he had this like venture capital background with American Family Ventures. He also had he just had this like good leader ability. And when I just reached out, I saw that they're growing really fast. And, it was about a year into the pandemic, and I kind of started doing some soul searching again. And this was already at the time, I was 3 years into kind of my tenure at Morningstar. And I felt like, I accomplished a lot. But I felt like the next thing that I wanted to do was not like work for a startup from ground up, not work for an enterprise, but work for like something right in between, where it's like past that like early stage startup phase where it's high growth, maybe trying to have some exit in period at some period of time. So I joined here in May, and the company's grown, I think over 100 people since I've joined the business. So, and I basically at Clearcover helping build out the B2B distribution channels for the insurance company, where we target not financial advisors, but insurance agents, as well as I think we call it embedded partnerships. So it's been a good time.
And what's interesting about your story, and I like the branding on the mug, by the way, that was nicely done. What's interesting about your story, which tracks very nicely with other senior leaders I've spoken with, is this. You don't necessarily have to call it intuition, but there is something in you telling you that it's time to do something next. Or there's something in you that says, this is a great ride. I sense I'm called to do whatever it is that I'm called to do, and somehow it gets manifested. So you're good at manifesting. You're being modest right now, but when you and I have spoken before, it really is like manifesting. Like I have this idea of what it is that I think I want to do next based on what I'm feeling on the inside. And it's not like magically poof, it happens. I mean, you do good work in the world. You're a good person. You know how to connect with people. But still, there is some sort of magical intuition-y, unicorny sort of thing that happens to make opportunities present. And so can you just unpack that a little bit further about like how you manifest some of the stuff that you manifest?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like some of it comes like naturally, right? I'm kind of opportunistic. So I get a lot of interesting opportunities come my way. I meet a lot of really interesting people and have a lot of interesting conversations. So I think it's just, comes down to being opportunistic and being open to like other perspectives, and then through that process, like I'm able to kind of find my path, right? So it's the same thing, like what I'm saying, like when when the pandemic started and I was spending a lot more time at home, I decided I want to do some more like advisory work, right? And just through that process, like I realized that it was the thing that I really liked doing was not just being like very focused on like a specialty of digital marketing, but I was doing more like high level marketing strategy work, and I was enjoying it, and I was finding myself to be more or less successful, and keeping some of my relationships really happy, and developing kind of the skill set that I need to go and take the next step and be like not director of digital, but actually be responsible for an entire marketing process or org. And so and I think like the other part is like I just disconnect to things that like I'm no longer like interested in, like so when I could feel like when I'm not like as excited about something anymore, and like luckily I'm at a point in my career where I have the choices, so it's very like important for me to like essentially be real with myself when like the moment comes, and when I have that feeling, whatever it is, like I always, like the hardest thing for me was even like with Mably, it was hard for me to like even just put my ego aside and like go work for someone else, right?
That is hard.
But I just like felt like it was the right thing to do, and it would ground me, and it would help me like get to the next phase of where I want to go, which is where I'm at right now, right? So I just felt like I needed that, and I think because of my experience working in the enterprise world combined with my startup experience, like I started to get advisory opportunities, right? DePaul University started to take interest, where I was, alma mater, and now on the board there. So it just, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It does. And I want to unpack something really interesting that you said is, sure, you're opportunistic and you lean into the things that feel right for you. But in order for you to be really good at leaning into the things that feel right for you, you also know the things that you are going to be running very fast away from. So it's great to have incoming opportunities, separating the wheat from the chaff, setting aside the stuff that just is not your cup of tea is also a function of intuition. Because there are times where you don't know all that much about something and you're like, I'm all in 100%, sign me up, all the things. And then there are things that as soon as you hear about it, you are a gracious no. So talk to me about how you know to filter for what you're not a no for, because that's one of the hardest things for a leader to learn.
I mean, I think that's a good question. I think definitely people, number one, right? Like if I'm talking to someone and I'm like realizing like, is this a person that I would be friends with, and can I build a deep, meaningful relationship with them? Like aside from everything else, right? Like, do I want to like talk to them and like hang around them, right? I think that's one. I think the other thing is just, am I passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, right? Like I personally have to be like really excited about something, because again, it's like hard to like, if I'm like saying yes to everything that comes my way, it's like I'm just going to stretch myself thin, and like not be able to uphold a good mental health and mental state. So I think like that's number two. And then I think the other part is, do I agree with like strategy, like the business overall? Like sometimes like I've been in conversations where I'm like, wow, I really like this person. I really love this business, but like I just can't get on board, like with the strategy, right? Or and I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything to change their mind, right? So I think those are just a couple of things that I would say, but definitely by far, like the number one thing is like, I mean, all the advisory work that I have done in the past, I've never signed a contract, right? And like, I don't, and you know, maybe one day it'll be the right thing to do, but like, I just a very like relationship driven, and I want to the people that like, you know, I surround myself with and engage myself with, like professionally, personally, you know, just it's the most important thing, right? And then that's the only way that I've been able to you know, grow my career like early or early on.
That's interesting that you don't sign a contract. So and I understand it's relationship driven, and something is energetically telling you. I'm not trying to lead the witness here. If that's not the case, it's not the case. But something is also energetically telling you, other than the whatever it is that you see on paper, that you are a yes for some things and no for another. So you said something interesting. Would I hang out with this person as a general matter? So energetically, do I like this person? Energetically, does this person feel like my person? And that jumps across a screen. You don't have to be sitting in a room with them to kind of sense who they are energetically. So can you share with me and share with everyone else, like what you sense energetically about someone for you to feel comfortable, say, I don't need to sign a contract, or a good filter for you is, would I just hang out with them?
So I think like so energetically, one is like, I think I could usually like get the sense of like empathy. Empathy is a big word that I've been using. Well, right. And then I try to like pick up on different things and like how people are even like saying certain sentences or phrases. Like it's something I've even done in the past, like should, could, would, like these are like negative words, right? It's kind of like below the line, right? Like it's next time, right? Next time we'll take this approach. So there's like different things that I could like pick up from behavioral that I've just learned, like making my own mistakes, and I'm like now super conscious of it. The other thing is like the whole result, or the whole like no contract thing is like, I will usually not. So if we're talking just like the advisory stuff, like that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Usually, like if I don't think I could deliver results, I won't do it. Right. So that's like the mistake I used to make early on my career, which is like, it was the first business that we were starting. Like everyone makes mistakes. Like I make mistakes every single day now. Hopefully less like in magnitude, but who knows? But I think it's like, that's the other thing is like how quickly, like how from like an energy, or like what are their expectations, right? And I think like trying to understand like what are their expectations from me, or from whoever, from their team, from their partners. And I could generally get a sense like when expectations are too high, and I will try to set expectations to the best of my ability, which helps me maintain positive relationships, right? Like I'm very as open and honest as I possibly can be. Like, again, do I make mistakes? Yeah, yes. Like, but I try to do everything that I possibly can to not overpromise things, but kind of maintain a good level, level-headed, and then not jump into things that I don't feel comfortable doing just because I want to make a quick dollar or two, right? I think it's like, it really comes down to like, do I feel like I can deliver value? Do I feel like I could work with them? And even just like hearing about, I was just out with one of my clients who's actually became a really good friend of mine, over the last year. Like we actually talk more as friends now than as clients. And it just started like, you know, when we started to do like some work together, at the beginning of it all, like we had several conversations, like, you know, I called personal friends that had have been connected with him to like learn about their experience, you know, and then most importantly, I also set expectations that, you know, if we're going to do this, like I would just really appreciate, you know, at least X amount of period of commitment from you. And it's always like been a handshake, believe it or not, like not even not one scope of work. And it's just always a conversation, super fluid relationships that I have. So,
and that is energetically where the magic of energy and intuition lives, that it doesn't even occur to you to, it's not that you don't know how to formalize an agreement, but for you, it is not aligned with who you are and how you like to be in the world with people. And that has precisely been your magic in terms of how it is that you've manifested everything that you have to this point. I mean, it sounds like I'm obsessed with your age. I'm not, but share with everyone how old you are now.
I'm 31.
Okay, you're 31 and you're the head of B2B marketing at Clearcover. A lot of that is natural talent. God bless you for it. And a lot of it is because you have consulted very strongly with your inner knowing of what am I ready for next? What do I want to bring more of into my life? What would not serve me? Who are the types of people I would like to connect with? And who are the types of people that I would have to be very far away from? And how true is any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it spot on. You know, just right now, you know, be nice to people, follow your heart, you know, do what you love. You know, I think that's kind of just the mentality that I have nowadays. So, and I always try and will always try to be the stupidest person in the room, and just surround myself with much better people, much better teammates. You know, a lot of this is, I couldn't do any of this. Like I couldn't have any of the accomplishments that I had if it wasn't for the people that I've surrounded myself with, from teams to mentors to champions. So yeah, it's just big thank you to them.
I love it. Vlad, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate your time. If folks want to contact Vlad directly, you can email him there. He's also on LinkedIn if you want to connect with him there. I also wanted to share with everyone that I am launching a group on June 7th called Inconceivable Influence. It's for the badasses in our lives. So you can find out a little bit more about Inconceivable Influence there, or drop me an email, all the things. Vlad, you're amazing. You and I are hoping for better days generally, particularly for those in Ukraine. Wishing you a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. And if I could just say one thing, like, please, you know, reach out to me and I'll reshare this video. But I would really appreciate if anyone can reach out to me and I can help guide you, like, to support Ukraine and the war with Russia right now. There's a ton of resources, and that's like the number one thing on my mind. So please just reach out, and any like support and help will be great.
And Vlad, if you don't mind, if you can email me links later, and then I will put it in the comments for this video on LinkedIn, as well as on my 6 Sense Strategy YouTube channel. So if you don't mind sharing those, I'll do that.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Be well, everyone. Bye.
Take care.